Hey, tree sprites. So, what would it look like if humanity was more balanced in feminine and masculine energy? And again, this is not relating to our social constructs of what we think of as feminine and masculine in society. This is about the energy that flows in all things, in all humans, in the universe. So, the feminine aspect is less about survival and action and is more about steadiness, stability, and sustainability. It is a much more grounded and passive energy. It waits, it observes, it analyzes, and it creates. The feminine aspect is much more fluid or liquid than the masculine and is often associated with the aquatic environment, such as rivers, lakes, oceans, as well as the moon. And so, even though the concept of stability may seem to conflict with the idea of fluidity, when you look into nature, the oceans are the most long lasting and stable environments on Earth. And one of the biggest hallmarks of aquatic environments is the fostering of life and evolution. Life began in the water. And this is still true for human beings and many other species. Once egg cells are fertilized, they are implanted and grown in a dark aquatic environment. And this is another example of how we exist as a smaller micro version of our mother Gaia. We are nature. And being more in tune and balanced with the feminine aspect will inevitably bring us back into harmony with the natural world, which will then reveal what our true actual nature is as human beings. Because regardless of gender and culture, the majority of our species has been operating in a deeply hypermasculine fashion, which is what keeps us in cycles of conflict and competition. Our societies will be less based in a foundation of fear and more based in a foundation of community. We would be much more accepting of human beings in all of our variations because Gaia loves all of her children. She loves all of their different expressions and all of their different ways of existing. Being overwhelmed in the masculine aspect, we view our differences from a place of fear, as a threat, as an imaginary enemy. Misogyny, racism, anti-blackness, homophobia, transphobia are all concepts rooted in fear, in the hypermasculine. Being more balanced in the feminine would very likely result in our societies being much less strict about social conformity and social expectations. Or at least those expectations would be more rooted in community, in the collective and the well being of the whole, which would also likely result in things like universal health care, accessible education, accessible food and water and housing, because we would be less focused on individual profit at the expense of human life and well being. We would be more focused on collective evolution and thriving together as a species, which would likely catapult us into a whole new realm of intellectual possibilities and creativity, of innovation, of invention without restriction, without these masculine pathological fears of, oh no, if everybody has healthcare, then everybody will be healthy. If everybody has food, then everyone will be fed. If everyone has education, then everyone will know things. And there will be much less space for these structures and systems of oppression to thrive. They would gradually die. And this is why oppressive systems are so harmful for the whole of humanity. Their desperation to survive is at the detriment of all of us. We would see much less hoarding and over extraction of resources and much more cultivation of natural processes, natural systems, and the land, which would inevitably make these natural resources more plentiful and accessible. The reality of our wildest dreams lies in balancing out our feminine and masculine energies, not in the hypermasculine or in the hyperfeminine, but in the even balance between the two. And I'm not saying that our societies would be perfect in every single way. We're still silly human beings and we do silly things. And that is just part of our existence as living beings on this planet. Trial and error, making mistakes, growing, seeing what works, experimenting. But we do have the ability of doing that from a much healthier foundation and a more balanced place of existing.